Live? Okay, good. Okay, so let's start as usually. Please stand, everyone. Facing the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Chris, would you mind?
I'll give it a try. Please bow your heads. Thank you for everyone arriving safely today, and hope everyone had a good, restful, and safe long weekend. Please let us learn today about how to maintenance our aircrafts and make them safe for future flights. And in God's name we pray.
Amen. All right, thank you, Chris. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. We hopefully will get a few more attendance online, but I'd like to give you updates before I introduce our guest. First of all, on our aircraft, we have two aircraft in Group 3, Cessna 182 and Cessna Turbo 206. And both of the aircraft currently in maintenance. So 206 we had to send all 6 cylinders to the engine shop for overhaul, and we do not have yet an ETA on that. That's going to be a few weeks. And 182 is due for regular maintenance, so its mags are due for 500 hours, and we will pair it with 100-hour inspection while aircraft is still in a downtime, so we will take advantage of that. Other than that, for those who are going through onboarding, there is 182 G1000 available at Fullerton. And at John Wayne, we have 182 round dial aircraft, which just came, by the way, for 100 hours as well. So, so we are kind of short on aircraft at the moment. But 743 Charlie Papa is in good shape, and it's flying. I flew it yesterday for my annual Form 5. And for those who is not part of the Civil Air Patrol, every pilot has to do a check ride on annual basis at CAP. Okay, so I will mute by default everybody joining online, and I would like to present to you Dr. Foster, head of Riverside FISDO, and also head of the Wings program in the area. So please welcome Dr. Foster.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll put up the presentation. And put it on Teams. So somebody please confirm that Teams is showing the presentation. Full screen? Okay.
We got it.
So to move forward, just press the button to the right or backward.
Got it.
Need any help? I'll be here.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Foster. I'm the Riverside FAA Safety Team Program Manager. There we go. Always have to kind of remember that. I'm also the OJT Program Manager and the Division OJT Program Manager. I'm not that busy. I just covered 3 districts. So I'm just busy keeping myself busy so people think that I'm busy. So when they call me, I can tell them I'm busy. That's how busy I am. Whew. Yes. Okay. This presentation is about, I'm going to call it, as you may have seen, aircraft maintenance responsibility. Now, this is not a how we're going to do maintenance or how it's done. It's more of the paperwork side. And I know sometimes people get a little, how shall I say, have reservations about that. You know, I thought you were going to cover stuff. How we doing? Like, no. You get your mechanic to do that. I'm covering the paperwork side. Because, see, if the paperwork's not right, then you get to talk to the other guys in the FISDO. And sometimes that might not be a good conversation. So I'm here to help you get past that paperwork part so that you know what it is that you do or not do. So just a little bit, there's my stuff there, Aviation Safety Inspector, Fast Team Program Manager, OJT. That IARCC stands for Inspection Authorization Refresher Course Coordinator. Whew. I always get dizzy when I say that one. And I'm an AMP. I also have the Aviation Maintenance Engineering designation there. IA, I let that thing go because my body told me just last week, we're not crawling around airplanes anymore. And I said, you're right. We're not. Okay. I am also a certified governmental safety officer at the master level, certified safety and health manager, advanced communicator bronze, silver, and bronze, and competent leader. My dissertation for my doctorate was recruiting women and minorities in aviation maintenance. Adjunct professor for different universities, and I've been the chair and member for several individuals for master's degrees and their doctorates, and even for the dissertations. So that's not to be construed that I like to read, but yeah, I do, so to speak. One thing that I like to clear up now so that people understand, and I usually catch students with this, but I'm not going to do this to you guys. We're just going to go right into it. But usually I would ask them, how many individuals have a pilot license? And you see the hands go up. I go, very good. I want you to turn it in after the briefing. They go, what? The FAA does not issue licenses. We issue certificates. So you happen to have a pilot license, that means you are old as the Wright brothers. Because the first, well, let me do it this way. Here we go. That's the first pilot license that was issued in 1927. Now, just a little history. Prior to 1927, because this is the federal one, if you do any search history-wise, every state had their own requirements for flying in their airspace. So here we are in California, and somebody goes, hey, let's go to Arizona and get a hamburger. And it's like, whoa, 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 you got an Arizona pilot license? No, well, then we can't go over there. And the federal government stepped in and went, whoa, hold it, no, that is not conducive to this new game new industry. You guys like to get up there and play, I know, but anyway. So they federalized it, created the license. And so 1926 and then they federalized it in 1927, and this is the first one. Now, the reason I point this out to people that it is not a license, because I want you to notice what's on the screen. You'll notice that number one, there's your picture. FAA certificates don't have your picture. Okay, there's a date of issuance. Oh, FAA certificate has that. Oh, we're good to go. But also notice that the license has an expiration date. Anybody certificate in here have an expiration date? No, it doesn't. So that's why I key in on the fact that it is not a license. It is a certificate. Besides the regulations saying certificate. So we take a look at it, and there is the FAA certificate, and there's a driver's license on the other side. Just to kind of show you similarities. They're about the same size, and the date of issuance is there. There's an expiration date on the driver's license. There is not one on the pilot certificate. Or let me just say FAA certificate, because there's mechanics and air traffic controllers and repairmen. So there's no expiration date on any of those. Okay? And then to further strengthen my part, here's a regulation that even says certificate. The following certificates are issued and the requirements for the certificates. And then they list the certificates. Even the flight instructor certificate, ground instructor. Somebody brought up an interesting point, though, about the flight instructor certificate. It has an expiration date on it, doesn't it? But it's still not a license. So, okay. And then for the mechanics, same thing. There it is. And, mechanics, repairmen, dispatcher, parachute riggers, air traffic control, they're all certificates. So now here comes the challenge for you guys. Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am. You know what? As soon as you get that answer, you let me know.
You're good.
Yeah. No, people ask that, well, why's it got PPF? It's almost like, well, why do FAA inspectors call it a license? I don't want to say that they don't read the regulations, but, I go through a whole bunch of things, and so I just go ahead and admit it now. That's why I got all this gray hair, because I worry about stuff like that. Okay? I mean, I go to different meetings having to do with runway safety. And whenever a mechanic is taxiing an aircraft, when it's written up in a statement, they use the phrase non-pilot taxiing an aircraft. I go, excuse me, why you call him a non-pilot? Well, but he's not a pilot, he's a mechanic. Yeah. Call him a mechanic. You don't hear us calling pilots non-mechanics. But they haven't caught on to it yet. I think they're waiting for me to retire, then they'll change it. So I got them food, I'm gonna stay. Ha! Okay, so here's the main thing that we're gonna be taking a look at, which is primarily maintenance responsibility. Generally speaking, for when I get an opportunity to go to flight schools, a lot of times flight schools usually don't invite the FAA, but I keep telling the flight schools, look, I don't do enforcement. I'm on the other side of the house. I do the outreach. I do the presentation. I'm the fun guy. The only thing that you can't do is come tell me you did something, because I'm still an aviation safety inspector. So I tell people, if you're going to tell me something, tell me it was your friend in your explanation, and I'll listen. Just don't make the mistake and go, because see, I listen very carefully. And as soon as you go, I'm going, whoop, gotcha. So we're going to talk about maintenance responsibility, and not so much how to do it, but who's responsible for it. And there are things in here that you will see that a lot of times, just to throw one out there, I've asked students, the ones I get to talk to on occasion, who's responsible for ensuring that a maintenance record entry is in the maintenance records? Anybody know who's responsible for that? Say again? I got to make sure he's not reading the regulation on me. Okay. Yeah, see, that's it. But a lot of people go, the mechanic, and I go, wrong answer. It is owner, operator, pilot, and command. They are responsible to ensure that the maintenance record entry is in the maintenance records. That's who's responsible. And people go, well, what's responsible for? Well, the maintenance for the mechanic, that's in the 43. We'll be talking about that one also. But again, you can see how the regulations kind of mislead people. Because like, for example, one of the regulations said that the owner-operator is primarily responsible for maintaining the aircraft in the airworthy condition. And then most people will construe that as, oh, well, I can do maintenance. No, you can't, unless you are a certificated AMP. It just says you're responsible, which means you get it to the right person. So you can see where there's a sharing of responsibility for maintenance between, and I'm just going to say pilot, owner, operator, mechanic. We share that responsibility. Oh, another little thing too. If you have a question as I'm going along, go ahead and ask it right then, seriously. I've been teaching at the university level for so long that a lot of times I know how I was. If I had a question on a certain slide, but I had to hold my question to the end, my active listening stopped on that slide. At that point, all I heard was till they got to the end. Any questions? back on slide 2, you said, see, I'm going way back there, and I didn't hear anything else. So I kept that in mind of how I was. Now, you guys might not be like me, but I'm just throwing it out there. If you have a question on the slide that I'm on, I have a doctor's excuse that says I am not allowed to back up because that gives me whiplash. So you got to ask the question right then. Okay, so we got that clear. So we're going to do the maintenance or the mechanic side. And so you see the little cup there. You know, I am a mechanic. I fix planes. Okay? But there are things that, and I'm going to be very careful about saying this, but there are things that you will be able to do under the supervision of a mechanic. However, they are not allowed, the mechanics, they're not allowed to supervise inspections. Okay? So when you hear about somebody say, yeah, I did a 100-hour inspection with my mechanic, he was supervising me, get away from him. Run. That is a no-no. They're not supposed to supervise inspections. They perform it. Annual inspection. That's an inspection authorization, an IA person. They cannot supervise an annual inspection. Now let me throw a little twist to you. If you happen to move your aircraft from the annual inspection type over to the progressive inspection, an IA can supervise a progressive inspection. That's in the regulation. Isn't that interesting? However, people go, oh, I'm going to switch over to progressive. Be careful. Because then an annual inspection must be done before you make that switch. But then the regulation also tells you that you must notify your local FISDO in writing that you're making the switch. And then the regulation also covers everything that's got to be in that letter. When was the last annual inspection done? What frequency are you going to be doing this? Because the progressive inspection, it says progressive, but make sure you read the regulation. It's got to be within 12 months. It's not like it just continues on. No, the whole aircraft must be inspected within 12 months. Progressive. So, okay. And every one of you, you're going to hear me say, are there any questions so far? Just to make sure. Okay. Oh, let me tell you guys now. You guys are going to be, how shall I say, you're going to get relief other than what my students would get at the collegiate level. I have a little deal with them that we go through it quick. I'm going to call it anatomy class, just a quick anatomy presentation, and it goes like this. I tell them all, put your hands on your shoulders, and they do this. I said, okay, now you feel where your shoulders are? And they go, yep. Okay, here's the catch. If your hand, any part thereof, goes above your shoulder, that's raising your hand, and I will call on you. If you tell me I don't have a question, then you owe me 5. See, but you guys are off the hook. I know what some of you are thinking now. I'm never going in his class yet. Okay, so things to remember. And some of the things to remember is very simple. I know some of you are going to freak out when you see this answer. But things to remember is the regulations and manuals. Those are the things to remember. Now, exactly which one? What are you doing? See, it guides you where you're going. Like, for example, I know you guys are probably asked all the time, and I know people ask the question, so now you have to change your answer. But they say, how you get a pilot license? And now you have to say, well, the FAA don't issue licenses. They issue certificates, and I can talk to you about that. And then you look around and see if I'm watching you. No, I'm kidding. Okay? But then you go to part 61. and you tell them about that, but then you also talk about 141, okay, which is the FAA approved school. And then they might have a question, well, what's the difference between those two? 41 is eligible for your pilot certificate, 35 hours. Part 61 is 40 hours. That's the difference. Now, sometimes they might not get that and they go, 5 hours? Yeah, but when you tell them how much that plane costs each hour, they get the idea then. Okay. So when the FAA comes out and talks with you and they do surveillance, we do surveillance under two umbrellas: privileges and limitations. Privileges: what is it that you are allowed to do with your certificate or under your certificate? Limitation: what are those things that you should not be doing? Okay? So, for the mechanics, they may perform or supervise maintenance, preventive maintenance, or alterations, and you guys can see the rest of that. Okay? But I want you to key in on the fact that excluding major repairs or major alterations of propellers, they can't do that. Or any repairs or alterations to instruments. The only thing that they're allowed to do, instrument panel, is take that instrument out, disconnect it, pack it up, send it to the shop. That's it. And every once in a while, we have individuals that, well, I was in the military for 6 years and I worked in the instrument back shop, so, I can open up that instrument. In the military, yes. Have fun. Congratulations. You come out that gate, you step on the civilian side, A&P, you better not touch that instrument other than to remove it, disconnect it, pack it up, and send it off to the shop. Because that regulation says you can't do any repairs or alterations to instruments. So be very careful. Limitations: may not supervise the maintenance, preventive maintenance, alterations on that list, but see, may not supervise. So you got to be careful. And again, look at the items that they're doing. I think I have it in here, but I'll get to it. For mechanics, they cannot exercise the privileges of the certificates and rating unless they understand the current instructions of the manufacturer or the maintenance manuals for specific operations. And you know how I'm going to say the American language is? And you know how we're quick to use phrases? And I usually tell mechanics, whatever you do, please don't use this phrase. They're looking at the manual. I don't understand what this thing is saying. Whoa. You better look right there. You're not supposed to exercise the privilege of your certificate unless you understand. See, right there. So I always tell people, yeah, it's jokingly, but I tell people, be very careful because you never know who's listening and how serious they may take that. Any questions thus far? Oh, it's going to be easier than I thought. Okay.
No mechanics here.
Yeah, but wait till we get to the pilot side of the house. Hey. Okay. So the annual 100-hour inspection, and here's a requirement, and I bring this up to the mechanics because in the regulation 4315, after the annual 100-hour inspection and before they do the approval to return the aircraft to service, they got to run the engine or engines, okay, engine or engine, to determine satisfactory performance. Isn't that amazing? Same thing with the turbine engine, okay? And those are the items that they're looking for. I caution pilots at this point that I say that maintenance, they're required to run that engine. I have heard where people say, well, the owner or the pilot wants the aircraft, and they say, well, just give it to me. And I go, did you run the engine? Well, they wanted it. I said, okay, how did you sign it off? And they go, well, I just signed it off that I did it, but, you know, I said, oh, then that's a discrepancy. Because if you didn't run the engine, then how do you know what the output, magneto, fuel oil pressure, cylinder oil temperature, how do you know if those are working right? So then that should be a discrepancy list given to the owner and go, here you go. But you can still sign off the 100-hour or the annual inspection that I did the inspection and I gave a list of discrepancies to the owner operator. And I tell the mechanics that when you give that to them, make yourself a copy. Because we do know that between the airplane and the car, there are note monsters. They eat up paper left and right. I know. My kids used to lose a lot of notes between school and home. And I know that there was a note monster out there. So, just saying, be very careful. And besides, my family talked to me about, when you going to retire? I said, I made a mental note of that. I said, you did? Yes, I did, but there was a problem. They go, what? I said, this morning when I woke up, I bumped my head on the headboard and lost the note. So, you know, but again, they should run the engine. Any questions so far about that? Yes, sir.
I'm just kind of wondering, as an owner-operator, if you have several shops that don't necessarily follow, I'm not sure that there's a question here, in the audience, so I apologize, but
Okay.
what do you do if you know that they're maybe a little lax in getting things complete?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
You know, it's like, as an owner-operator, you know,
yes, yes, sir.
Getting the plane back, you know, so.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got you. Yeah. And so there is that part that we're going to be getting to, but I'm not going to. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to make you wait till we get there. I'm going to let you know that, remember, who's responsible to ensure that the maintenance record entries are made and so on. So, okay, see, all right?
Yeah.
And if by chance your aircraft is still in the hangar and they say, we're having for you in 20 minutes, you take his shirt and you raise it on the flagpole.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you're going to have it in 20 minutes. How long does it take you to do a run-up on your aircraft?
Oh. Taking off a bracket is 20 minutes, basically, by the time I'm done.
Okay.
With all the checks.
Okay, but you see my point?
Yeah, right. Sure,
okay, your plane is in the hangar and tell me we're having for you in 20 minutes.
Right, exactly,
But it's still in the hangar. What are they not doing? And you're well within your responsibility on the Part 9 to want to go, whoa, time. Are you going to run the engine? Okay. And if they say, well, we're going to let you do that. Really? Okay, so you're going to give me a list of discrepancies, and then that's when they might start backpedaling. Okay, I'm not trying to give an excuse, but.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. Foster.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, before I get too far ahead of it. It was back 2 slides, I think. The mechanic, he said that licensed A&P is not able to supervise maintenance. I saw a flash, and maybe I missed something. I know that the IA...
Well, there is a regulation that Canadian mechanics can do certain things on aircraft because they're licensed.
Right. And as a licensed A&P mechanic...
See, he didn't get it. he didn't get it yet, did he? Canadians are permitted to do certain things on the aircraft. They are licensed.
Right. Certificated
Oh, okay. Now we're talking about the United States.
The United
Gotcha.
States. It takes me a while, man. My two brains still. As a certified AMP mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if I read something wrong or whatever. Am I authorized to supervise maintenance to an uncertified mechanic?
A non-certificated individual, just say it that way. Non-certificated individual, yes.
I just
Yeah.
I knew I must have read something wrong, and it was just prior to the alteration or instruments and
Right.
propellers. So okay.
Yep. Cause see, real quick, 43.3 paragraph D states that an individual can do, a person working under the supervision of a holder of a mechanical or repairman certificate can do the work that the supervisor is qualified to do, provided that that individual, the mechanic, is personally observes the work being done necessary to ensure it's being done correctly, and is readily available in person for consultation. However, they're not authorized to supervise inspections, okay? Say, and then it also talks about items for 121, 129, and 135, okay? Supervising inspections there, but you can do the maintenance. Yes, sir. Okay. So here's where we get into some real neat things. Because again, owner operator responsible to ensure that the maintenance record entries are made. And so, you might have a question, well, how do I know what's supposed to go in that entry? 43.9 of the regulation has what is required to be in the maintenance record entry. Okay? So, a description or reference to acceptable date of the work performed. So they have to describe what it is. The date of completion of the work performed. Now remember, 1 and 2 don't have to be done in that exact order. Usually people put the date and then put the description underneath, but they need to be there. Number 3, the name of the person performing the work if other than the person specified in paragraph A4. Okay, so let's go to A4 and then I'll come back to A3. So if the work performed on the aircraft for that list performed satisfactory, the signature, certificate number, kind of certificate held by the person approving the work. The signature constitutes the approval for return to service only for the work performed. And I point this out to mechanics because a lot of times, how many of you, and I know some of you now are going to go, let me go read my maintenance records. Because you might see an entry in there that says, I certify that this aircraft is in an airworthy condition. And they're talking about the aircraft. Okay, but what did you do? Change the nose landing gear tire. But then they put that statement in there. I certified this aircraft to be an airworthy condition, and all they did was change the tire. Like, time out, whoa. You just, I tell them, you just bought that whole airplane. I didn't work on the air. You put it in the statement that you did. I just changed the tire. Right there. Okay. You changed the tire. Your signature, certificate number, and kind of certificate held. Your signature constitutes a proof of return to service only for the work performed. That's it. So, depending on what was done, now we're talking about let me say, an annual inspection or a 100-hour inspection, or they're looking at aircraft over from nose to tail, wingtip to wingtip. But if all you did because you had a flat tire and they changed that tire, that's all that's there. Any questions concerning the entry? Oh, excuse me, whoa, I almost forgot. let's jump back up to number 3. The name of the person performing the work. So, if a mechanic is supervising you to do the work, that mechanic is making the maintenance record entry, your name should be part of that entry, that you performed the work. Now, the regulation doesn't say this part. This is mine. Because I know when I supervised maintenance, I definitely did it. I am supervising a pilot. Okay, here's what we're doing. Okay, I got you. I'm seeing what you're doing. Very good. Make the maintenance record entry. Let me see your pilot certificate. Why? Well, I'm going to put your name in the maintenance record entry, but I'm putting your certificate number in there too. And sometimes they go, well, the regulation just said, no, but this is my coverage. Why? Because there's a lot of John Joneses out there. Now, which one was I supervising? I got that certificate number that narrows it down to the one John Jones that I was supervising. Oh, excuse me. Jane Jones, too. Okay. What? She was giving me that look like, so okay. But that's how I do it. Yes, sir.
So for owner operating, same thing like an oil change, use your pilot certificate number for doing the maintenance on that aircraft.
Oh, see, and I'm glad you used the word maintenance. You're not doing maintenance. You're doing what? Bingo! There it is. Because if you look at part 1 in the regulation, it lists out what maintenance is, but pay close attention to the last sentence, and it says, but excludes preventive maintenance. So preventive maintenance doesn't even fall within the definition of maintenance. It has its own definition. But yes, sir. And that might be something that when it comes to trend and analysis, okay, there's something wrong with the aircraft. You can go back and look at your maintenance records, and how often were you adding oil to this engine? You see what I'm saying? Some people kind of like, well, we're just adding oil. Okay, excuse me. If every time you fly, you're adding 2 quarts, where is it going? There may be a problem that somehow or another, we're not looking at or not paying attention to. And it may not jump out at you unless you document it. Yes, sir.
That brings up a good point. So I keep an aircraft log, so every time I do add the oil, that really never gets put into my logbook. Should I be putting that in my logbook?
For trends and analysis to ensure
Or just let
the healthiness of your engine,
yeah.
okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And what goes along with that also is oil pressure and oil temperature. So let's think about that for a moment. Oil starts to go down. What happens? I'm sorry, go ahead. Say it.
Yeah, your friction.
Temperature starts going up because of that friction. Okay? But then at the same time, okay, temperature is going up. What is pressure doing?
It's lower.
You bet. Well, wait a minute. I'm doing it while I'm looking at it. Excuse me. Let me before you guys are looking at it. Okay. All right. It's starting down, and that's something to take a look at.
But
Okay.
it never officially goes into the law. I mean, I could discuss it with my AI or my AMP, I guess. If I'm
Well,
concerned.
Yeah.
It would become
Well,
a maintenance discrepancy at that point.
say again.
Then it would become a maintenance discrepancy at that point, not just a preventive maintenance entry for oil. So if you're noticing oil temperature spiking and pressure going down, it's a problem. Right?
Absolutely. But see, at the same time, if you're not advising your mechanics that you're adding oil every 5th or 6th flight, okay, it may never, come up to a red flag. And then all of a sudden one day, let me say, on the ground, that engine stops. No problem. Hey, tower, help, come get me. One of those. Okay, you're 1,500 feet and that engine goes, you didn't feed me, which means you didn't give it fuel. You didn't give me my spa treatment, my massage, which is the oil. And the engine goes, okay, we got our union card. We quit. And you're 1,500 feet. That's not a good feeling. Okay, so that's why you might want to, and doesn't have to go into your maintenance record. Maybe you might want to do a servicing log. See, and I'm going to use the phrase attach it to your maintenance record, but do a servicing log. So every time you fly, if you're adding oil, how much oil are you adding?
And same goes for tire pressure. That's
Oh.
a good idea to keep track of tire pressure.
Yes. That's another little item to keep track of. Okay. Now this is for IAs, and you guys excuse me just a hot second here, because that got me a little medical condition and my leg bothers me.
Or if you'd like
Okay.
to sit, I can put the computer right here.
Oh, no. It's just a couple of minutes, so we're good. Okay, so this is the IA, okay, and what it is that they can do and how they get there. So you can see some of the things that they go through. Now, why am I showing this? Because again, part of the duties and responsibilities of what they can and can't do. So it becomes important, particularly for aircraft owner operators or pilot in command. Becomes very important. Okay. Privileges. They can inspect and return to service any parts thereof, except for a camp program for 121 aircraft after major repair, major alteration. And continue with the privileges. Note, they can perform an annual, but then look what also it says, or perform or supervise a progressive inspection. And then they got to keep it available, their IA authorization for inspection by the aircraft owner or the mechanic submitting the aircraft for repairs. And then also authorized representative of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, federal, state, local law enforcement officers. Limitations. And this is one of these where I caution individuals because the FSDO that handles their file generally indicates that they're working within our district. On occasion, you have individuals that travel and they may go outside the district and do some work. I heard this guy's real good, so on and so on. What they should do is contact their local FSDO that they're doing that, and in turn contact the FSDO in the area where they are and let them know that they're there. Okay? It kind of helps out everybody, particularly in this day and age where people have a tendency to want to, borrow people's names and stuff. know, and then that's not me. Okay, how did you prove it? You know, well, I say it's not me. Okay, but see, here's one way. Let the FAA know that, hey, I'm gonna be over at Brackett Airport. See, I'm gonna pick on your airport now. Brackett Airport used to belong to the Riverside District, and then people got the waving wands and things, and they gave the airport to LAX, to Los Angeles Fisto. Okay, now they just did. I don't know why that was that. They just did it. Okay, so we had IAs that were based at Brackett, and when they did that change, it was like, whoa, okay, here we go. And we had to transfer the files so that, you know, it's just keeping track of people, just where they are, what they're doing, so we don't run into any, and I call it funny business. It helps everybody out. Any questions about the IA?
Would there be any, because I've heard stories of guys getting stuck over like at Catalina, and there's no, I don't think there's even a shop over there, I don't think, and they'll fly basically their A&P over there and stuff, but that's not, I mean, that's obviously kosher, right? Or let's say if I went up to, I don't know, San Francisco, and I had a gear collapse or something like that on my nose gear, and I needed to have it rebuilt, and I could just fly my guy up there. But that would be just a one-off, you're saying. It wouldn't be a thing where my guy would need to negotiate with it or let the FISDO up there know that he's doing that. Would there be any?
Well, yeah, that's entirely up to you. But see, a lot of times, if you're up in San Francisco, I mean, there's usually somebody probably at that airport that can do that maintenance.
Sure, yeah.
You know, but there's nothing that would prevent you from flying your guy up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Doing maintenance.
Yeah.
We don't check in with the local FISDO though.
Now, see, just doing maintenance. There you go. Now, chances are, so let's go this route. Chances are the FISDO know that he's coming up. You know why? Because he told him. He told him.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Okay, gear collapsed, and he said, I'm gonna have my mechanic come up here. Well, guess what? You just told him.
Okay, yeah.
You know, the local FISDO that, okay, this guy's coming up. See? So, done deal. Except if it happened on Saturday night, you know, and the FISDO, I'm just, no, but Chandler, you have a gear collapse, that's an incident, and chances are FISDO's responding to that, and you probably tell them then, I'm gonna bring my guy up to, he knows my airplane, and he'll be working on my aircraft. And be like,
I was thinking of more of one time I landed in Santa Barbara, and when I was getting ready to leave, which was like several days later, the strut had just collapsed. It basically lost the pressure.
uh-huh.
It was an oleo strut. And of course in that case I had some guy on Santa Barbara Field. I can't remember the name of the operation, but I just
Right.
called them up. But that would be a thing of where if like I'm at Apple Valley or something like that, I don't even know that Apple Valley has.
There's mechanics out there.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah, there's a repair station out there.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If I was on an airport that didn't.
I tell you what, let's do your scenario this way. You landed at a private airport.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Now guess what? Hands off, because I have no idea what they got out there.
Yeah.
It's a private airport. That it belongs to that guy. And,
Yeah.
okay. So now you're dealing with that guy.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and even in that case, we FAA would have to get permission because see, gear collapse. That's an incident we investigated.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a private airport. I'm gonna say something that it's gonna contradict. even though it's a private airport, they can't stop us from doing an investigation, but we still have to get their permission. See, you see what I'm saying? So it's almost like one of those. Generally speaking, most of the people that have private airports, we're doing an investigation, and they're like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You know. So, okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What if, for example, they choose not to give you permission to come on board? Wouldn't that then be cause for concern that they're not allowing you to come in?
Yes, ma'am. See, that would definitely be a concern for them. And then I can talk about, contacting our legal department, law enforcement, go through all that rigmarole, which most people that know about aviation don't want to do that.
So it's in their best interest to cooperate.
Yes, but you have some individuals that were kind of like, they'll do that Florida dance. It's called stand their ground. Okay, and so it's just like, we don't argue. Just back off, make my report. That's all. And then whatever happens from there, but that's the thing, we don't argue. I've even, never mind. Let me say that I've had a situation. I was driving down a particular highway, and I saw an airplane flying, and I see this puff of smoke, come out the aircraft, and I'm like, what the holy mo? And he studied doing one of these numbers, so I kind of coordinated what have not, and I drove around, and I saw private airport, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, but I see the aircraft right there. The guy comes out and says, what do you can throw your expediency in there if you want, but what do you want? I said, well, I'm with the FAA, and I just saw a puff of smoke come out of that aircraft, and so I didn't know if they crashed and what, so I'm just, that's my aircraft, we're testing it out, so get off my property. Yes, sir, thank you very much. What is the name of this airport, by the way? I just made my little note, and I left. I saw the end of them on the aircraft. So there's documentation there, and by the time I got back to the office here, there was a message for me that said, if you want to come up and look at the aircraft, you're more than welcome. To which I went, and I went home. Because I wasn't about to drive an hour and a half back up there just to tell you how far that was. And I can't tell you it was up to 15 freeway. I don't remember what freeway I was on. Up there somewhere. Okay. 337 form. And note, and this is where sometimes I get it to the mechanics, so it's also let the owners know too, that in addition to the entry required by paragraph A, now remember paragraph A is the description, the date, and who did it, and all this good stuff. Major repairs and major alterations shall be entered on the form, and the form disposed of in the manner prescribed in Appendix B by the person performing the work. So you can see a maintenance record entry is required when they do a major repair or major alteration. It still requires a maintenance record entry in addition to the 337. A lot of times you might get people go, well, it's a 337, that's good enough. Whoa. Let's look at 43.9 paragraph D there. You're required to make a maintenance record entry. So just give you guys some added things there. Some of the things that we find out about the 337 individuals submitted incomplete forms, incorrect signature for return to service. I know you might go, incorrect? Why, huh? They signed in the wrong place, not watching the form. Failed to forward a copy to Oklahoma City within 48 hours. And then item 4. This is what I call the poor man's STC, supplemental type certificate. And it's called a field approval. Now, this field approval is they want something on the aircraft. Or let me put it this way, let me personalize it. You want something on your aircraft that makes it a major alteration. Yeah. Okay. Here's the catch. Your IA or your AMP, but it's going to be done by an IA. They got to send in, fill out that paperwork, a whole description, maintenance that's required to ensure conformity and airworthiness, and they got to send that in to the local FISTO to get it approved before they even touch your airplane. Okay, before they even touch the airplane. And here's why. How many of you have ever seen a paperwork that sits on an airport ramp? That's what it would be, a paperweight. Because if they did that, and we get to looking at it, we're like, oh no, you don't. Denied. And they've already started the work. They just wiped out your airplane. So like, no. Get approval from mama and daddy before you do this. I want to make sure we're gonna be okay. And that's how it's done. Okay, so they got to put all that together and send it in, and then you might say, well, what do you guys do with it once you get it? If it's something that we can approve, in-house, we do. Okay, we got it right back to you. There are those situations in which we may have to send it to the Aircraft Certification Office, the ACO. That's where the engineers are. We send it to them and like, okay, here's what we think. What do you guys think? And they're like, not no, but oh no. Okay, and now we're sending it back to the owner operator going, nope, sorry, can't do it. But it's already started. Park it in the corner. So that's something to be aware of. That piece of paper, all that has to be done before they even start the work. Yes, sir.
We have STCs for certain airplanes for basically a pod mount for a camera pod.
Yes, sir.
Does each aircraft require an STC or an aircraft model type?
Oh, okay. If you were to ask me that question 10 years ago, I would have said aircraft model. Okay. Now that you're asking it today, individual aircraft. Because you got to buy, you have to purchase the STC. And then when you get that from the individual that went through trouble to do that STC, it is made out to you and the N number on the aircraft and serial number. So it is now to that aircraft. And so if somebody happens to see it and go, oh, baby, I like that. Hey, can I get a copy of the STC? And you got to tell them, your eyes may shine, your teeth may grit, but this STC you will not get. Okay? Because, can't do it. See?
So in that case, is it easier to get that STC for an identical aircraft? Or like you said, you're actually buying it from whatever engineering company that made this mount or whatever is going on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you identify the aircraft that is going to go on. Now, if you own several aircraft, okay, then you might, when you send in your request to this individual or company and say, these are the 3 aircraft that I want to put this on, okay, then they may send you those 3, but then again, each one of them going to have their own separate paperwork to identify that it goes on those. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
'Cause that was one of those things that, just a quick history behind it, that the STC holders started complaining about, and they started seeing that one person bought the STC and then shared it with a whole bunch of other people, and they're like, whoa, 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 time out. We invested our money. No, And the FAA said, you know what, you're right. Yes, sir.
So this is interesting because this is personal.
Okay.
A year and a half ago, I bought a kit, an STC kit for the commander for fillet. It's a fiberglass fillet kit.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had time to have the guy put it on and everything, but it is STC, but it's not, he didn't send it to me, and it's a very reputable company. So I guess I need to go back to him and then basically have the STC for the kit and specifically for the aircraft before I can even talk to somebody about putting it on. It sounds like, is that right?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because if the person didn't send you, let me say, the proper paperwork.
Right. Well, he sent me
Okay.
the STC, which is, I guess, for the design of it, and it's just a wing fillet
Mm-hmm.
kit, fiberglass, and it's very nice. It looks, but I never put it on. But it sounds like I would need to get that written up for my aircraft before I go to my A&P and say, okay, let's put it on. Because I was actually going to take it to the shop in Corona, paint shop, and then after they're done, they're going to paint it and stuff like that. But it sounds like I need to go back to him and have that, my tail number tied to that.
You might want to look at the paperwork,
Yeah.
okay, because it should be there, because that was one of the changes that we seen come through our office.
Okay.
Because see, when the STC gets put onto your aircraft,
Yeah.
it requires a 337.
Right.
Okay, so now that STC with the aircraft serial number and in all that is with that
Okay.
337, which is now sent directly to Oklahoma City. They used to send the 337s through the local FISDO, and we look at it because that's how we were monitoring our IAs
Yeah.
and what they were doing.
Okay.
And then we would forward it on to Oklahoma City. And I guess I'm going to say United States Postal Service, IG, they got to looking at that and they're like, no, y'all need to stop that. Send it direct. So we're like, okay, send it direct. And so it should be part of your file, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
But then even, and I apologize if I missed the point here. With the 337, should I contact the FISDO before I even get
No.
going?
No.
Okay.
No. No, you bought the STC.
Yeah.
It's just that even though you purchased the STC to put on your aircraft, I'm just letting you know that a 337 is required.
Yeah.
And not only that, but a maintenance record entry is also required to be
Right.
put into your maintenance records.
Okay.
Okay, so you're tying all those things together, but now that STC, you might want to go back and look at that
Yeah,
paperwork,
well, yeah.
because I know that
Before
was
I
a
put it on,
change
yeah.
almost, good 10 years ago
Oh.
or more. So I mean,
Okay, so then I've got it. Okay.
it was back a ways that they made that change.
Gotcha. Okay.
That the
Yeah, I got it.
STC was now being identified to the specific aircraft serial number, N number,
Right.
for it to be used.
Gotcha.
So,
I was pulling up an old SCC on my plane, and absolutely, it's both the tail and serial number.
yes, sir.
Wow. I never paid attention to that.
Yeah, those are little bitty things, that I point out, because see, remember, as the owner, operator, pilot in command, you have a responsibility for, that information. And sometimes people, they say, well, I rely on my mechanic to tell me. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
That is not the mechanic's responsibility to know that. Although most of them may know it.
Hopefully.
Yes, sir. Okay. Is the maintenance guy for you guys here tonight?
Well, we have Al. He is being trained for the maintenance officer. We are not maintaining our aircraft by ourselves.
Okay.
We have maintenance one repair facility authorized to perform all the maintenance.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So the AMT Awards program and this one and the Employer Award program and the Charles Taylor Award program, we don't need to discuss. See that? Yeah. Whew. Okay. So pilot responsibility. Now this is where we're gonna really get into the meat. You got questions now with that maintenance side, the mechanics side. Wow. Okay, so here we go. So 91403, owner operator, primarily responsible for maintaining that aircraft. And this is the one where I say that people get confused because they read this and go, oh, well, I can do maintenance on my aircraft. That is not what that says. You had a responsibility. And then B, no person may perform preventive maintenance on an aircraft other than as prescribed in this subpart and other applicable regulations, including Part 43. And 43 has a list of who's authorized to do maintenance and preventive maintenance. Excuse me. The aircraft, have it inspected. In between inspections, had discrepancies repaired as prescribed in Part 43. Shall ensure that maintenance personnel make appropriate entries in the maintenance records, indicating the aircraft has been approved for return to service. See, so when you give your aircraft over to the maintenance facility, you're still responsible to ensure that they make the maintenance record entry. So when you go pick up the aircraft, there is a presentation that I can do later date, and it's called Advanced Pre-Flight After Maintenance. So I just do a quick trailer right now. But one of the questions I would ask individuals is, okay, you have your aircraft. Let me ask a question. How long does it take you to pre-flight your aircraft normally when you're going to go fly? Just anybody. 20, 25, 30 minutes. Okay, 20, 30 minutes. Okay, and guess what? I'm up here going, sounds good to me. You now give that aircraft to a maintenance facility for an annual 100-hour inspection or whatever it is, okay? And they tell you, okay, come get it, we're finished with it, and here's our bill, and okay, and, you want to do this by credit card, okay, and you're like, okay, yep, all right, here we go. And they said, now the aircraft is out there in spot 7. Now my question is, how long does it take you to pre-flight that aircraft?
2 hours.
Okay.
Depends on depth of the maintenance performed, I would say.
2 hours.
Okay. Generally speaking, most people fall in. Well, it all depends on why I gave it to them. See, that's why I usually say annual 100-hour inspection, because see, they're opening that baby up, and then they're putting it back together. So how long would it take you? But now if you're just going in for, okay, my nose tire change, okay, Would your pre-flight inspection be any less than normal? Because all they did, they just changed the tire. Okay, but for the annual 100-hour inspection, yeah, it's gonna take a while.
I would definitely say it depends, because I just found out, because I'm currently going down for annual. To get my nose wheel fairing off, you have to decal it, raise it up by the engine to get the wheel. And so I'm like, yeah, even if I was doing something in the nose gear, that's another type of pre-flight, because I just know that takes more effort than just a simple tire change.
You betcha.
So I think it does depend, like if you know how well you know your plane too. But I mean, now this is also my first annual, so I'm not experienced at all. Just the amount of work that I had to do to get the plane ready for inspection, that already tells me what you have to do to inspect it from if I handed it to somebody for any length of time. So
You betcha.
yeah,
Okay.
it gives me willies thinking about it.
But see, that's just one of those things, ask questions about that. Normally, how long do you take to pre-flight? Oh, about 20, 30 minutes. Okay, yeah, not a problem. And it's your aircraft, and so, you have to do a shorthand because I don't want anybody to be feeling guilty. But you know that you're going to fly tomorrow. And I can guarantee you there are certain switches that you already have in a certain position so you can go through your checklist. Okay, I'll call it cocking the aircraft. Okay, it's like pulling back the trigger on the gun. I got it cocked, I'm ready. Okay, so you know that. There's certain things, but then there's other things that you're still going to check. Okay, and so normally it might be 20 minutes, but you're like, I know I'm going to fly tomorrow, and I don't want to be wasting any time, so let me go through this real quick. So you're doing all the non-powered checks. Got the aircraft prepped. So when you come in, you're like, okay, I got the power check to do, and that takes about 10 minutes because everything else. Okay, here we go. I understand that. But again, it's giving it back to, not back to, excuse me, I'm sorry. Giving it to maintenance, and then they giving it back to you. And then keep in mind that sometimes your fuel selector, what do you think maintenance is going to do with that fuel selector? They're going to turn it off, okay? But you may be used to leaving it either in both or right or, in one of those selects other than off, okay? And so maintenance gets it back to you, and they're on the checklist and go off. It's off. And you can read reports of the number of people that have had engines quit on them after picking an aircraft up for maintenance. Why? In their head, I leave my fuel selector switch in the both position or, the right position. You follow? And they may not look down there like, well, that's why I leave it. But you gave it to maintenance and they turned it off. Okay? And you might think, well, wouldn't they have caught that, doing a run or something? But see, sometimes they may not do a run up. They're like, I got to get going. Okay? Yes. And they're gone. And then when that aircraft noses up and gets out there and the engine goes, yo, Bubba, you didn't feed me. So guess what? Union card, I quit. Okay? And now you're like, ah! There it is. I don't think I'll be sitting down too many more times, so. Okay. Maintenance required, inspected, subpart E between inspections, and then of course had discrepancies repaired. So remember that list of discrepancies? You gotta have that done. You can't fly all the time like that. And ensure the maintenance record entries are done. And wait a minute, I got that in there quite a bit. Oh, here we go. And then you shall have your inoperative instruments and items permitted to be inoperative, repaired, replaced, removed, inspected at the next required inspection. So again, you're not flying around with this indefinitely. And then, of course, if you have that list of discrepancies, inoperative instruments, you got to ensure that a placard that's being installed is required by 4311. So there's a placard on there that says inoperative or inop. .407. Can't operate the aircraft that has undergone all this unless it's been approved for return to service. And the maintenance record entry required by 439011 is made. Okay, so again, it's one of those items. And I hear conversations. The thing that really tickles me a lot of times when I travel, going through airports, I love just sitting there, and I guess it's my status at some point. I'm not wearing anything that says FAA. I'm just sitting in the airport. And I'm hearing conversations. You know, what people do, have done, and, you know, stuff like this. And I'm like, please stop talking, you know? And they just, you know, and I can remember once, okay, Oklahoma City. Everybody know what Oklahoma City is famous for, and please don't talk about the bombing. That is not what I'm talking about, okay? But anybody know what Oklahoma City is famous for? Say again? FAA headquarters. Okay, FAA, not necessarily headquarters though. Headquarters in Washington, D.C. Okay, but you're correct, FAA. That's where the academy is. So 9 times out of 10, you standing in line to board an aircraft, there could be an FAA inspector in front of you, behind you, to the side of you. So I got to share this story with you guys. There was 2 guys standing in front of me in Oklahoma City, and this guy was talking about stuff that he was doing to his airplane, and his buddy says, dude, you need to be quiet, man. We're in Oklahoma City. He goes, yeah, we're in Oklahoma City. He goes, there could be an FAA inspector listening to you, you know? And he's like who? And so his buddy was in front of him looking back at me. He goes, well, that guy behind you, you know? And his buddy turns around, he looks at me, and he looks me up and down. He goes, oh, yeah, right. And he turns back around, he starts talking. And I just listened to him. And so I just tapped him on the shoulder, and I said, you know, you should listen to your buddy. And he said, why? Because I'm an FAA inspector. And he goes, oh, man. 2 guys in front of his buddy, they turn around and go, yeah, we're FAA inspectors. He's like, oh. And of course, you know, there's people sitting in the chairs, right? 3 guys right there, and they go, we're FAA inspectors. And he's like, oh, man. The guy standing right here that happened to hear him talk as he was walking by, he stopped and he goes, well, since those guys showed you their credentials, he says, I won't show you mine. He said, but I'm an inspector too. And he goes, and I inspect the airport where your airplane is. Oh, man. Okay. You know, so like, when you go through Oklahoma City, be careful what you say. I'm just saying. So, but that was a hilarious thing. I mean, it couldn't have been better. And his buddy was laughing the whole time as they were boarding, you know. And he sat down and not unfortunately for that individual, where they were seated, they were like in the middle of FAA inspectors. You know, like,
Nothing
dude.
to talk about anymore.
Yeah. I used to, people say, you know, what do you tell people when they ask you what you do for a living? I always tell people, I say, I have a dead job. They go, what do you do? I say, I'm a coroner. And they go, oh. And then they stop talking to me for the rest of the flight. So I get a nap in. Okay. carrying persons on board. Okay? So, not carrying anybody on board, and then until there is a flight, and the person has at least a private pilot certificate and makes an operational check of maintenance performed or alteration made, and logs the flight in the aircraft records. Okay, so now I'm gonna be nosy. Please don't raise your hand, but how many of you have ever made an entry in your logbook or aircraft records that you have made an operational check of your aircraft after maintenance was performed? Okay. Well, yeah, but he said he did, and like, okay, cool, because that's one. But most people, I get the, what? I'm like, yeah. Okay. Here's another thing, too. Does it have to be flown? Well, it says it doesn't have to be flown if flight ground tests, prior to flight, ground test inspections show conclusively that it wasn't substantially affected or would not affect the flight of the aircraft. Okay, so you're good. I do not have a pilot certificate, but I got a logbook with approximately 250 hours of flight time. I was the director of maintenance at the Aero Club overseas. And every time I used to do maintenance, and I run in and go, when's your student showing up? Oh, well, not another 2 hours. All right, come with me. We got a flight check to do. And they run out to the airplane, and we get in, we go do the flight check. And then I grab my logbook, and I go. And I had one guy tell me, he goes, I get paid at this time today. I don't know how far back this was. I get paid $25 an hour for flights. And I looked at him and I said, as a mechanic, I get paid $35 an hour, so you owe me $10. I'll sign the logbook. Okay, cool. So that's how I got my little flight time in. A lot of fun. Inspections. So unless within the preceding 24 months, so you can't operate it unless an annual inspection's been done. See, key thing. And guys, if you read this, that bullet right down at the bottom there, no inspection performed under paragraph B of this section may be substituted for any inspection required by this paragraph unless it is performed by a person authorized to perform an annual inspection and is entered as an annual inspection and required maintenance. So let me throw this paragraph B up there. I'm gonna let you guys read that. I'm gonna grab a seat here and then I'm gonna be yabbering. But here's the catch. And sometimes I know this is done, but it's like, whoa, gotta be careful. Because there's sometimes some IAs, we get an A&P and say, hey, do a 100-hour inspection on this aircraft, sign off as a 100-hour inspection, and then IA turns around and signs off an annual inspection. And it's like, dude, did you even do the annual inspection? Well, I had the A&P do a 100-hour inspection and give me the discrepancies and stuff, and like, no, you are supposed to perform that inspection. Now, there's also discussions about when is a 100-hour inspection required. You notice it says something out here about a aircraft and flight lessons being given, things of this nature. And here's something that some people kind of like, I didn't realize that. So you guys, I'm gonna personalize this a little bit. I have Chris up here that has an airplane, and we just he wants to learn to fly. But Chris got money, and so he has Andre, yo, teach me to fly. I got my own airplane. Question: is a 100-hour inspection required on Chris's airplane? Yes. No. because it's his airplane. Okay, now, let me turn it around. Andre has an airplane. He's a CFI. And he says, Chris, I'll teach you to fly. Does his airplane need a 100-hour inspection? Yes, it does. See, the person owns the aircraft and say, hey, come teach me to fly in my aircraft, doesn't require a 100-hour inspection. Just the annual. But most people go ahead and get the 100-hour done anyway. Yes, sir.
What if Chris wants to have his friend learn to fly his airplane with another CFI, with the same CFI?
Okay, see, now you just do that loop-de-loo in there because, see.
But it's still his aircraft.
Yeah, it's his aircraft.
And his buddies learning to fly in it with Andre, the CFI.
Yeah, but now it requires a 100-hour inspection because it is not that individual's airplane. See,
Never mind.
But there is a one more loop. If Chris decides to charge his buddy for lessons done in his aircraft with another instructor, he will have to do 100-hour inspection.
there it is. Okay, she got that money exchange
It's a
thing.
compensation or hire, which does the trick. If you get compensated for use of your aircraft, then 100-hour applies.
But even if Chris's buddy's not, Chris is rich, doesn't charge his buddy to fly his airplane, just
Oh, well, no.
just for CFI, it still needs that 100 hours.
Still needs a 100-hour,
No money exchange or nothing.
right? Because it's not his airplane. See, because that's one of them legal things I looked up before because I'm like, and it says that if that person owns the aircraft, 100-hour inspection is not required, just the annual.
So if you join a flying club and you're one of 20 guys that has part ownership of that same airplane, then no
Now,
100-hour.
okay, when you get to flying clubs, I have to defer you to the advisor's circular about flying club because there's something in there about, but usually flying clubs, everybody's already certificated. See, no, I said usually. Right. Okay, but as soon as you start holding out, see, you just change your, what do they call that? You just change your charter. Okay, like, see, unless that person happens to be a member of the club. Okay, you see, we're getting into a whole bunch of other stuff now. Okay, so Wings program. Let me talk to you about the eligibility for the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award. Right now, as I look around the room, he's not here. He left. He's gone home now. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to reiterate a point. Go on to the Master Pilot Award program. So you were saying that if someone else owns the aircraft, right, and you're flying in it, you don't have to worry about the 100-hour?
Now, if you own the aircraft and someone is teaching you to fly your aircraft, you don't have to worry about the 100-hour inspection.
Okay, even though, so you're saying so if I own the aircraft and I'm paying an instructor, that does not fall under, like,
no, it's
or higher,
your aircraft.
All right, for sure. Thank you for clarifying that, sir. That's where I got a little bit confused on, because I was under the impression that any time there's money being exchanged for instruction on any aircraft, that would fall under for hire, and you would need the 100-hour in addition to the annual. And I know that an annual can supersede a 100-hour. So I got a little bit confused on the verbiage, but now I understand that that's the only scenario in which 100 hours is not paid on the aircraft.
Okay.
Instructor.
You bet.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So, Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award. 50 years or more of civil military experience. And up to 20 years can be military flying. Up to 20 years. And the 50 years can be computed either consecutively or non-consecutively. But it's got to add up to 50 years. Be a U.S. citizen and not have any, note that word, any airman certificate revoked. So you can have individuals that have pilot certificates and mechanic certificate, and they do something wrong and that mechanic certificate gets revoked, then guess what? They're not eligible for the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award. Some people go, that's not for A, it says any certificate. So I only see a couple of people here that might be close to the 50-year point. I'm not going to point them out at this point, but you know who you are. So, okay. So that's everything that I have for you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Dr. Foster, the Charles Taylor Award,
50 years.
50 years, is that 50 years certificated, or could it be
50
50
years.
working on aircraft and being certificated?
It's just about like this. Up to 20 years can be military. Do you have to be certificated working on aircraft in the military?
Now, this was prior to all that.
Okay, see?
Like experience that you've worked with
Up
aircraft, I was just wondering.
to 20 years. And at some point, you got to have that mechanic certificate. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All those that are online, what's your name, sir? David. Make sure that you send David your name and email address. So if you need wings credit, I can go in tomorrow morning and do the little ticky mark and give you wings credit.
Can I ask one more question?
You just did, and we're done. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I love that part. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As far as the physio and maybe even you personally, as far as the, this is a horrible question to ask, but the quality of the A&Ps that are coming out now and the IAs, does the physio have an opinion on, and I'm old enough, unfortunately, to kind of know 20 years ago when I started flying, the guys I was dealing with, the A&Ps back then, versus now. And I've talked to a few people that are, one guy at Bracken, he basically does the initial testing, I guess, for the A&Ps and the AIs. He kind of kicks them out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he's voiced some concerns, as far as the quality and the, you guys have an opinion on that? I don't know. It's kind of a dumb question, but.
No, it's not a dumb question. The Feds, though, for the most part, I would say we don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
But now ask me about Oklahoma City. Go ahead.
About Oklahoma City.
Okay, now, Oklahoma, the testing place up there, they track
Okay, I got you.
the test and things of this nature, trends and analysis, and they give out reports about the schools and how the students do and passing it the first time around versus, and they track it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the stats?
See, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What's the stats say?
Good luck. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. No.
That's kind of the way I feel sometimes. I mean,
No.
nowadays,
What they have now is that because of the change, having the airman certification standards versus the practical test standards, they made that switch for the 147 schools.
Okay.
So it's going to take, I'm going to use the phrase, a couple of cycles before we get it back into the swing of things, so that the schools can look at it and go, okay, how are we doing? How are our students doing? And that's how that goes.
When do you think that would be available? I mean, how many cycles are we talking about in terms of years? Is it years or months?
This is 2024. Okay, we made that switch over 2022, I believe it was. Okay. And the regulation 147 came in just about that time for the change. So you still had the two regs there because you had schools that had students under the old system versus the new system.
Yeah.
And so they're letting the senior students, you know, get through the system before they start
Oh, okay.
back in again, you know, because it wouldn't be fair to the school to count these guys under the new system when they're still over here. So it might be 2025, I think.
I'll ask Ed about that and see what he thinks about that.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Is anybody in here that needs to initial off on the list or give me their information for wings? If so, come on up.
Thank you all. The meeting is over.